We should not do that.
I don't know. We're already live, Will, but how about this? Folks, welcome. I am Kurt. I'm here with Magic Will Middleton, and we've got a guest today, which is Jason Broderick, and we're going to talk about Buddy Boss and all things Buddy Boss, and we're looking to have a great conversation. So with that, Will, you say hi to the audience, and then we'll give Jason a chance to say hello as well.
Hey everyone, Magic Will Middleton from Lifter LMS and the WordPress community and all kinds of other random projects. I'm excited to be here with Buddy Boss today, talking through 3 ways to skyrocket your course revenue with social learning. We're going to talk about different social learning options you have with your WordPress website, with Lifter LMS, with Buddy Boss, and really some key strategies to building a community, because it's not just the tech to make it happen, it's also the strategies behind it. So I'm thrilled to have you on, Jason.
Thrilled to be here, Will, and Kurt, thanks a lot for the intro. Hopefully, we're going to talk a bit more about you and a bit less about Buddy Boss than you might think. It's not going to be a pitch fest, don't worry. I was saying that to Will when we kind of first had our meeting, that's not the way I like to participate in my webinars, and so it's also not the way I like to run my webinars. So hopefully we're going to give you a lot of value today. You're going to have lots of things to take away. Whether or not you decide to take those things to Buddy Boss and pair that with your Lifter or not, you should still be able to implement all of these strategies either by yourself with the tools that you already have available to you, with Lifter's built-in tools or the social add-ons for Lifter, or if you decide to come over to Buddy Boss, absolutely fantastic. We'll help you do that too. But yeah, hopefully you get a lot of value from this anyway. Let me know if you want me to rock and roll, folks, or I got any other housekeeping things you want to do or anything like that?
Yeah, I was thinking, just want to announce, everyone, wherever you see us live, leave a comment on the live stream. If you do have any questions, we're going to be getting into questions at the end. And so drop those in the chat as we go along, and I'm excited. Are you ready to get into it?
For sure. Yeah, so am I. I'm pretty excited too. So I think for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jason. Obviously, I'm Director of Content and Marketing Strategy for Buddy Boss. And today we're going to be rocking you through 3 ways to skyrocket your course revenue with social learning, boost your engagement, your retention, and your conversions. Like I said, welcome all. Thank you for both for having me on, and thank you to the Lifter audience for welcoming me into your wonderful community. Like I said, hopefully today I'm going to give you lots of useful strategies for you to implement and put into practice for yourselves. First thing is, who am I and who's Buddy Boss? So obviously I'm Jason, Director of Content Marketing Strategy for Buddy Boss. Buddy Boss is a social learning platform. It's a social community platform that enables creators like you to manage your own online learning communities. It offers a suite of features for growing your online courses with groups, forums, gamification, messaging, live events, and many more to enhance your student engagement and interaction through social learning. And if you stick around with me till the very end of this presentation, I'm going to, I've been very kindly given the opportunity to share 2 things with you. I'm going to share with you, firstly, my own personal 4-step magnetic community growth method, which is a little PDF that I've put together for you totally for free, which will hopefully change how you build and nurture your online learning community. One of the things that I spoke to Will about on the original chat that we had about this webinar was, what are the kinds of things that Lifter LMS customers struggle with? What are they sort of concerned with? And one of the things that Will brought up was, we understand a lot about how social learning is valuable to us when we have a community, and we understand the value that our community brings to our online courses. But one of the things we struggle with is, how do we get there? How do we grow that community in the first place? What are some of the strategies that we can actually use to grow a new community, or to add a community onto our online courses, if that's what we want to do? So in the free PDF, which I'll give you a link to at the very end, I'm going to give you my 4 strategies for how to do that. So the first thing I want to do is answer me in the comments. Will, hopefully you can pull up these comments somewhere, or maybe we might get them in the side. If I switch over to my comments tab, maybe I might see some. Yeah, I can. Fantastic. So answer me in the comments. How do you currently sell your online courses? Answer 1 or 2. If you sell your courses as a one-time purchase answer me number one in the chat. So that is, if you sell your course as like it's a $49 course and that's it, you buy it once and you have access to it forever. Answer one in the chat. Or answer number two, if you sell your course in some sort of recurring revenue type model, whether that is like a subscription, that the actual course is a subscription, or maybe you even go one level beyond that and you actually kind of sell it as a membership, which is also a recurring fee. Or also answer number two, if you use payment plans and the payment plans last longer than 3 months, because pretty much after about the 3-month mark, that kind of counts as a recurring payment too, and you have things to contend with that you don't typically have things to contend with if you're just selling your course as a standalone. So let's see how we're getting on here. We kind of have, it looks like a lot of people are getting number twos in there, a lot of recurrings. We got Chris. I can see Chris in there saying 2. Yeah, Kurt saying 2. Of course, I think Will, you're selling them number 1. You need to get on that recurring revenue train, Will.
I do.
But well, hopefully in this presentation, I'm going to cover a lot of the things that are relevant to both groups. So the strategies. The strategies themselves are fundamentally the same, but the implementation of those strategies is slightly different depending on whether you are more concerned with a one-time purchase, or whether you sell your courses as kind of a one-time sale, or if you're more concerned with that recurring kind of relationship with the customer. The strategies, the tactics to implement the strategies are slightly different. So we're going to dive into that a lot. So here's the big challenge that I see for online course creators, okay? The challenge is kind of split in 3, right? So whether you're selling your one-time courses or you're offering subscriptions, the fundamental challenges are what I see as maximizing the value of the content that you've already invested time and energy in creating. That's number 1. Number 2 is differentiating your course in some way from your competitors, making your course stand out as being a better or a different experience from the kinds of people who are competing for the attention of the same audience as you. And then number 3 is gaining independence from those SaaS services and algorithm-driven platforms that you're probably relying on for your course engagement right now. Those are the three kind of big things. So let's dive deeper into each of those challenges and understand them more clearly before we share some strategies for you to address them. Okay. So here's the big takeaway lesson, the big sort of big statement that I want to make about your online courses that I'm going to dive into. The way I see it, there's only 3 ways that you can grow your course and increase the amount of impact that you have from your course, okay? There's only 3. You might be thinking, oh yeah, but I could be using TikTok for this and shorts for that and ads for this and whatever. But fundamentally, all those tactics, I believe, fall under one of 3 umbrellas. And that is conversions, engagement, or retention. Converting more students, engaging the students that you have converted, or retaining those students, keeping them for longer, okay? So let's talk about number 1, okay? Converting. I should probably be pressing left and right. That'd be quicker, wouldn't it? Rather than scrolling. There we go. That's better. So the first thing is you've dedicated countless hours and a substantial amount of budget to creating your courses, okay? The issue now is it isn't just about churning out new content. It's about making the most of what you already have, okay? The problem here is clear. Your current content, as comprehensive as it is, it might not be being leveraged to its full potential, okay? So this might manifest symptoms like stagnating student enrollments or a decline in student engagement. You might be finding yourself constantly feeling pressure to add more content, like that content hamster wheel that you're already on, thinking that that's the only way to keep your course fresh and appealing. Okay, so to address this, you need the strategies that revitalize your existing content or squeeze more value out of the content that you already have, making it more engaging without the burden of constant additions, okay? You should only be doing that by integrating interactive elements into the course content that you've already got, gamifying it, or creating a community around your course, right? Imagine the impact that your business might have once this issue is tackled. You'll have a course that not only maintains its relevance and appeal over time, but continues to earn you money over time as well, right? Let me just make sure my slides are in alignment here, okay? Magic. I think my slides have come out of alignment. Let me pull them back here.
Your slides are designed beautifully. This is
Thank you.
It's like the Buddy Boss platform. It's like
Yeah,
it's your house.
we take care of the visuals of everything over at Buddy Boss for sure. I'm just checking to make sure that the wonderful, incredibly talented design team have actually designed the slides, put the slides in the right order. Because that would be detrimental, wouldn't it, if I'm speaking about something that's not actually the same thing that's on screen. Let me jump back over here. So yeah, challenge number 2, as I said before, is differentiating your course in a crowded market. So as I'm sure you all know, since COVID, there's been a significant surge in online courses. And if you're in any kind of industry that's been a public-facing industry for a long time, especially if you've had a course for a long time, longer than COVID's been around, then you know more than most how COVID sort of caused a lot of experts to spring up out of the woodwork and decide online learning is the way forward. Okay, so you need to engage strategies that are going to help you differentiate your course from that crowded market. Many of those courses are probably similar to yours, and the saturation makes it even harder for your course to stand out and capture the attention that it deserves. So if you could tackle this by injecting more interactive elements into your courses or using game-like elements to make learning more fun and engaging, or you could think about fostering deeper interactions between students, not just the content, but with each other, creating a learning community that's vibrant and dynamic. There's a lot of ways that you can differentiate your course by engaging social learning. All right, and number 3 then, as I said before, was gaining independence from those limiting platforms that you're already on. So this is the third and most crucial thing that I want to cover, breaking free from what I call breaking free from the algorithm. So chances are, we probably shouldn't mention my name, but if you are running any kind of large social community, you're probably relying far too heavily on social networks to be a very important arm to your online course. Okay, many of you probably feel like your course experience might be constrained by the SaaS platforms that you exist within, or that you rely on to provide you with your engagement, and that you're unable to fully control how you interact with and deliver your content to your students. This challenge tends to manifest itself with frustrations with platform limitations, concerns about data ownership and privacy, which is a massive one that's come up a lot in the last few years, and also the high costs associated with using third-party services for things like community or things outside of your LMS. You probably find yourself constantly adapting to the new rules or algorithm changes of those platforms, which probably feels like that you're not in the driver's seat of your own course and certainly your own student engagement. So the solution here is embracing a platform that supports your growth and making it truly your own, a space where you have full control over your content, your student data, and the overall learning experience. Ultimately, your goal is to leverage the content that you've already put so much time into distinguishing your course in a competitive field and move beyond the algorithm constraints. This way, you can expand your course, boost your revenue, and make a significant mark on your industry. I think we're back in line with our slides now, because the next thing I was going to say is that about this takeaway lesson. Yeah. So I mentioned these 3 to you before, that in my mind, there's only 3 ways that you can grow your impact, grow your course impact. That's conversions, engagement, and retention. And now let's jump straight on to covering the first of those. All right. So the first of those is convert. Why is conversion such a critical thing for you as a course creator? Simply put, higher conversion rates translate to more students enrolling in your course. That's obvious, right? Which directly leads to increased revenue, allowing you to reinvest in growing the course, growing the community, and putting that money back into the growth and success of impacting the students that you probably care a lot about. If you're a Lifter LMS customer, chances are most of you are in this because you want to serve a community, you want to serve a group of people that you care about. So you have a responsibility to convert as many of them as possible. If you believe that your course content is some of the most valuable out there, in fact, hopefully you believe that your course content is probably the best in the world. So your biggest responsibility is to try and convert as many of your potential students into your course as possible. All right. So how do you do that? How do you do that with social learning? Well, the first thing you can do, or the first strategy, is to create a higher perceived value for your course by integrating a social learning platform or integrating social learning features into your course. There are lots and lots of course platforms out there. There are hundreds of other people probably doing a very similar thing to you. So one of the best ways that you can increase your conversions is by increasing the perceived value of your course. That doesn't necessarily mean increasing the true value, although that would be something you would like to do too. But what you're really concerned with is when somebody comes and they look at your course for the first time, do they look at that and they see, damn, if I'm paying X amount, like I'm getting a lot back for this that I'm spending. You know, this is not just a video course hosted on whatever that I go and take and that's it. Like this is a whole community that I'm becoming a part of. This is a whole, you know, I'm becoming part of something greater than just the videos and just the lessons themselves. So increasing the perceived value of your course is one of the biggest things you can do to increase your conversions. Without incorporating elements that increase that perceived value by offering different types of learning material inside a single course structure, your students are going to feel less engaged. They're going to feel, you know, your course is going to struggle to stand out and you're going to be losing sales to your competitors. For example, considering a course in project management that does not only include recorded video classes, but it also maybe simulates a module where students can plan, execute, and review a mock project in a collaborative environment. These kinds of dynamic course structures inherently boost the appeal to customers and potential students. And this increased appeal can directly lead to higher conversions, and prospective students are more likely to want to enroll in that course that provides better value for the money that they're paying, essentially. All right. Number 2 is enhanced content value through interaction. So this particular social interaction strategy refers to adding features to your course that allow your students to actively engage with each other as student to student. This could include features where students can share their work, where they can provide feedback and participate in community-driven activities that helps them internalize the knowledge that you've learned or that you've taught them in your lessons. This approach is super effective because it transforms your course from a one-way delivery of content into a dynamic two-way interaction between your student and other students or course leaders or other people who are maybe they've graduated from the course but they're still inside the community. Without interactive features such as like groups, forums, messaging, your course basically remains static and less engaging. To avoid this, integrating features that are inherent in a social learning environment encourages those kinds of student interactions that help foster a more dynamic learning environment. For instance, let's say you've created a photography course. Now imagine a feature where students could upload their photographs that they've taken to a community feed, maybe engage in peer critiques or participate in weekly photo challenges. This kind of interactive environment transforms the course content from static to dynamic, creating a space where students are not just learners, but they're active contributors. All right, that is enhanced content value through interaction. Number 3, the number 3 way to increase your course conversions is social proof, leveraging social proof for credibility. Now, this is particularly important at the younger stages of your course. When your course is it might be a bit counterintuitive, but the bigger your course is, the more naturally your social proof will sort of leverage and enhance your conversions. But when your course is smaller, when you don't have a huge amount of students yet, it's very important that you leverage those positive reviews and probably even go out and ask for testimonials or feedback about your course content and publish that somewhere where prospective students can see it. Because as an unknown entity, students are going to be thinking like, is this a scam or is it legit? Or, are other people taking this course and getting value from it? I don't know. So you want to be leveraging that social proof to improve that credibility, right? The importance of social proof is the power to demonstrate the value of your course to prospective students before they've enrolled. It provides tangible evidence of what students can achieve and experience in your course, enhancing its credibility and its appeal, and therefore increasing the conversions. Without incorporating social proof, your course might struggle to get that trust and that credibility among potential students. Now, to effectively utilize social proof, you can do things like showcasing your student community, showing how vibrant and active it is, how many people are in there. You can show their interactions and their achievements that they're gaining from being part of your course. You can also do this by highlighting active community discussions within your course or featuring student testimonials. And the testimonials one is the one that's probably the highest point of value if your community is really small, because you have the opportunity to engage with discussions with students on a much more one-to-one basis, and in return ask them for a testimonial that you can then publish on your site. As your course grows, you have less and less opportunity to kind of engage in that one-to-one level of discussion with students. So when it's small, that's when you really want to be leveraging those testimonials and before and afters and things like that. An example of this might be, for example, on a graphic design course, you might display a gallery of student projects. You might even display before and after examples of something that they might have submitted when they enrolled, and then afterwards something that they might have submitted after they'd taken your course or something like that. Number 4, then, within conversions, the last one here, is offering a unique learning experience. So creating a unique learning experience means incorporating elements that are distinctive into your course that go beyond standard educational practices. A unique learning experience, particularly through social learning, can significantly enhance your course's appeal and drive conversions. Distinctive learning experiences can be the deciding factor for students when choosing whether or not to enroll in a course, because students are often looking for courses that offer something more than just the basics. They're offering something that promises a more engaging and more enriching learning journey. So unless you can differentiate yourself from your competitors, you might start to convert less and less than them. Imagine, you've got students who are used to having apps in their hands like Duolingo and other other learning apps like that have these £1 billion worth of investment, but these super vibrant, like multifaceted learning environments. And that's the experience that they're bringing when they come to look at your course and they see what has this course got to offer me beyond just the lessons. Because as I'm sure you've probably covered many times on webinars and courses like this, really, unless what you're teaching is a unique process, which I highly encourage to make your process unique, then a lot of the stuff you're probably teaching people could find for free online. So when they come looking at an online course like this, you need to be offering them a much more unique learning experience than they could get if they just sat down and watched YouTube videos, because that's what you're competing against. They could just go and sit and watch YouTube videos, but you want them to part with their hard-earned cash. So you need to create an experience that's much more unique than just watching videos in order to do that. All right. So to avoid this, you want to focus on developing course content and activities that stand out from everything else. An example for this might be if it was a programming course, let's say, where you could introduce maybe a gamification system for solving programming questions. So, when someone does an assessment, you might give them a little code snippet or something to fill out, and you might award them points when they complete those things. And that might be a way that you could make your course or your learning experience unique or stand out from everything else that they could do. So that is increasing conversions. Before I move on to strategy number 2, let me quickly hop over into the chat here and see, have we got any comments? Will, maybe you might have spotted any questions or comments from people. At this point, we're going to have a Q&A at the end for sure, which I'll stick around for as long as anybody wants. But has there been any burning questions that have come up that I might need to answer about increasing conversions?
I don't think we have any questions in chat about increasing conversions here. Cool. We got a couple of key takeaways that Kurt's been posting in chat, breaking free from the algorithm.
That's it.
Some good stuff. But
yeah, nice. The other thing I can do is I forgot to mention this at the start, but one of the things I will do is I'll give you these slides afterwards, and you can share them with the community too. Okay. So if there are any lessons or anything like that you wanna kind of share, I'll whack this over to you afterwards, and you can when you send out the replay link or whatever, you can keep this link in there. Or if you're going to put this video in the library afterwards, you can have the link to the PDF there too. So if anyone wants to follow along afterwards, they can go down through this PDF too.
Yeah,
and follow along.
We'll do like a webinar page, so I'll include that as a button on the Lifter LMS webinars page for all the viewers with a link to the PDF in our media.
Nice, perfect. All right, cool. So if we don't have any questions at that point, let's rock and roll on to strategy number 2. All right. So strategy number 1 was conversions, and I said that there are only really 3 ways in my world in my land that there are only really 3 ways to increase the impact of your course, and the second of those is to increase your engagement. All right. So what do I mean by engagement? Firstly, so engagement. If conversions is increasing the amount of potential students that buy into your course, increasing engagement is not only increasing the amount of your course that they consume. That would be a strategy to increase engagement, or a tactic to increase engagement. But what is that? What does that actually achieve for you as a business? Well, increasing engagement allows you to sell more to that person. In terms of growing your revenue, it allows you, it builds that trust with that person that they got value the first time. So if you offer them something else, they're highly likely to take you up on that. Okay. So when I asked you at the start whether you sell recurring in a recurring revenue model or in a one-time model, let me outline for you how that works in both scenarios. If you sell in a one-time model, let's say, for example, actually, do you know what we might do? While I'm ranting, answer me in the chat. Will, you can pull this out when you find a few. Give me a few examples of what your course is. Give me a few examples of like maybe what industry your course is in, or what your course teaches. And Will, anytime I pop up anything like this, you can just throw an idea at me in terms of, hey, if you were going to do this in this kind of an industry, what would that look like? So, for example, if you sell in the kind of like one-time purchase kind of space, let's say something I'm interested in at the moment is cycling. So let's say you have a free PDF, which is like the 10 pieces of equipment that every cyclist needs. They download that PDF, and on the next page, maybe you might sell them an ebook. Let's say you want to sell them something that's a one-time purchase. You sell them an ebook, and when you deliver that ebook to them, you want them to consume the content. But you also want them to feel like they got value from the first purchase they made. Because if you're going to then say, hey, you purchased my $19 ebook on safety for cycling, why don't you take my safety for cycling basics course for $49? And if you haven't engaged them in the first instance, then they're not going to want to spend any more money with you. They're not going to want to spend any more time with you. They're not going to want to engage with your community if you do that. And so in a world where you are selling a standalone course, then I'm sure you've talked about this a lot on the webinars before. You probably want to have some kind of at least multifaceted offer of some kind, where you have your core offer. Probably most people will have some kind of a core offer. And then you probably want to have some kind of a back-end profit maximizer, or an offer that encourages somebody who just bought to kind of increase their order value. And if you haven't engaged them, then you won't be able to increase that conversion or increase that average order value. So that's for standalone. For recurring, it's slightly different. The principle is the same, but really for recurring, you are leaning more on strategy number 3, which is retention. And you need to engage your students so that they stay with you. If they are, if you're hoping that they're going to pay for your course month after month after month, then engagement is one of the most important things that you need to do for those people. When we talk about strategy number 3, I'll give you some examples of how that might work in a recurring model. Will, have we had any examples come up in the comments?
Oh, yeah. Thanks everyone for dropping in. We've got like music lessons.
Love it.
Pedicure, learning a new language. We've got some good stuff.
Nice. Yeah. Music lessons. So I play several instruments myself. I was a professional singer for 10 years, professional actor for 10 years. Music lessons. So I don't know if anybody knows of a service called Playground Sessions. Playground Sessions is a service offered by a very famous pianist, is sort of like the ambassador for it. And basically it's like an app for learning piano. And I've played piano for many years, but gave it up. And I kind of wanted to pick it up again. And I thought, you know what, I need like a fun and engaging way to do this. So Playground Sessions is a music learning app. And the way they hooked me was they allowed me to purchase a single track. They said, hey, here's our library, pick your favorite song. My favorite song is, I don't know, Desperados by the Eagles. That was the first song that popped into my head. Don't judge. That's not my favorite song, but let's go with that because it's the only song I know how to play on piano. Desperados by the Eagles. So I said, hey, Jason, for $9, you can buy Desperados by the Eagles in our system, and we will teach you how to learn we'll teach you how to play that. And then what they needed to do is they needed to engage me. They needed to provide a good experience so that they then could go in 2 weeks later, they go, hey, Jace, we just noticed that you scored 96% on Desperados. Why don't you jump on our Piano 101 course? And we can show you how to go from A to Z, in your basic piano skills, learn your chords, learn your whatever. That course costs $149 and you get lifetime access, right? So that is taught Desperado yesterday. Love it, love it. It's a lovely tune to play for a basic piano player because it feels like you know more than you do. So that's an example of going from like a one-time purchase to using engagement to leverage a second one-time purchase. And when we talk about strategy number 3, I'll give you an example of how that might work for a recurring revenue model. So let's jump back over to the actual to the tactics. All right. So what are some tactics we can use to employ social learning to increase the engagement? All right. So a lot of these are probably going to be fairly obvious to you. Number 1 is interest-based groups and cohort-based learning. So what do I mean by that? Interest-based groups are obviously like specialized little communities within your course where students with similar interests or similar levels are kind of grouped together. These groups allow for in-depth discussions and collaborations in areas that they're passionate about. On the other hand, cohort-based learning is kind of a new sort of buzzy term in the learning industry, is where a whole class of students progresses together through the course, kind of at the same time. And the reason that cohort-based learning is so important is because it allows students who might just join at a random time to gain that sort of classroom-esque environment by kind of joining a little group of people who are all taking the course or going through the course at the same time. It also makes any sort of live or one-to-one engagement type content much more easy to manage if you're doing it in cohorts. All right. So through discussions, group projects, peer reviews, this approach of cohort-based learning creates an interactive and supportive learning environment. Now, without interest-based groups, there's a risk of a one-size-fits-all approach to your course where you sort of think, I know all these lessons, I'm just going to put them in the order they want to go in, and I'm going to hope all my students progress through this sort of linear system in the same way and kind of cross my fingers that they all make it to the end of that course. Without cohort-based learning, students lose that sense of kind of classroom or student community type feel and shared progress, which is so vital for dynamic and engaging learning communities. By incorporating these methods, you're not just teaching, you're creating an immersive and a tailored learning experience where every student is engaged in the right way for them. All right, so that is interest-based groups and cohort-based learning. Number 2 is topic-based discussions. So topic-based discussions are basically creating specific discussion threads or environments for each of the topics or key lessons in your course. So imagine students are engaging in forums or group chats about a particular aspect of a module that they're struggling with, or maybe they're sharing ideas or tips that they've learned as they've progressed to help newer students that are coming through with those same ideas that they're struggling with, or collaboratively tackling challenges together, sharing best practices. These discussions are not just about clarifying doubts. They also create a platform where students can interact with each other, with peers, with their ideas, and adds a rich layer of understanding to their learning experience. Through these types of discussions, students don't just learn from the course content, but they also learn from each other, fostering a sense of belonging and making their learning journey much more engaging. Without topic-based discussions, students may experience a bit more of an isolated journey, a less interactive journey. They might feel a little bit on their own, or a bit like sort of they're stabbing in the dark or just trying to find their way through your course content. The absence of these types of discussions could lead to a much more superficial understanding or internalization of the subject matter, and a lack of engagement with peers too. To implement these kinds of discussions, you can create discussion forums or threads for each module, or you can create discussions or threads for specific topics within your course and encourage your students to participate in those as part of the course content. So you can make it required for people to add their thoughts to a discussion. I've even seen some universities start to do this a lot, where engaging in the discussion is a requirement of the module. So for example, they learned a lesson and then they have a requirement, hey, you must ask at least 2 questions about this topic to progress to the next lesson. Imagine how much deeper your students would be able to internalize that learning if they had to ask a thought-provoking question about that, and kind of imagine the amount of engagement that would come out of that as a result of the students responding to each other too. That's number 2. Next one up is gamification and activity feeds. So this one's probably a buzzy one for you. You probably know all about this already. I know certainly the Lifter Social add-on certainly has done this too. Gamification is obviously involving or incorporating game-like elements into the educational content. For instance, if it was a language learning course, students could earn points for competing or completing speaking exercises or quizzes, or they might receive badges as they progress up the levels. This approach transforms the learning process into an engaging and enjoyable experience, and it adds a little bit of competition to healthy competition to increase that kind of like that rivalry or that drive that some people have to get ahead of themselves, to compete with themselves, or to compete with their peers, which are two different types of motivators. Now, the importance of gamification lies in the ability to maintain student engagement and motivation over time. It adds a fun, competitive advantage or edge to learning. It encourages students to participate more actively, more persistently, and more often, and more consistently. Without gamification, courses risk becoming monotonous. You log in, you watch your lesson, you log out. Maybe you log in, you watch your lesson, you download your PDF, you log out. Or maybe even you log in, you watch your lesson, you fill out your quiz, you log out. So to implement this, you can introduce points, you can introduce badges, you can even introduce leaderboards, which is great, where you can encourage a bit of healthy competition between students that might be competing for similar or the same things. For example, if you have, let's say, a music production course, you could have mini contests like maybe best remix of the week or whatever, and you can have students vote on that, where they award points to each other. And that fosters a lively and interactive learning environment. So that is 3 ways to increase engagement with your course using social learning. At that point, before we jump on to strategy number 3, let's check in again with the community. Is there any questions in there? Any burning things, or I guess any other examples that have come out? Any other interesting examples that people have asked? Hey, how does that work in my industry, or how does that work for my type of course?
Yeah, I think anyone who has questions about that, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll sit here for a minute about questions around engagement. We did have a couple questions come in around conversion. I don't know, do you want to circle back to that at the end, or
let's do that at the end? Yeah, for sure. We're going to do a big long Q&A. The guys are going to want to kick me off by the end of this. My Q&As have been known to go on for far too long.
No, I love long Q&As. I know Kurt might have to jump here on the hour, but I'm good to hang out a bit longer.
That's unacceptable. Whenever Kurt leaves, I'm leaving. I'm taking the call and I'm going home. So that's just to pressure him to stay and ask good questions. No, I'm just kidding, of course. I have been known to receive a late night glass of wine over the back of the monitor from my wife as she's like, see the Q&A is going on long. It says on your slide that it's a 15-minute Q&A, and we're here 3 hours later. Here, you need some wine. So you might see a glass come across the screen, but I will try and we're not promoting alcohol consumption on this webinar. It's a family friendly webinar.
That's when the webinar will get good, though. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Anything around engagement or any other questions you have, we'll circle back to them at the end. I'm clicking star on some of these comments, so we'll get back to them at the end.
Great, for sure. We can crack on with loads of those. I've had Vicky ask for Bible-based or theology in an informal setting. Amazing. We can definitely talk a few of those. We have loads of sort of under the umbrella of faith and religion. We have loads of those types of customers rocking amazing social communities and apps too, of course. For sure. Let me think of an example for Bible-based theology. I like the way that you said an informal setting. I think hopefully, like, as you've seen, a lot of these examples lend themselves well to informalizing quite a formalized process. Like the education system is a very kind of can be a very old school, a very like almost ancient kind of industry, and a lot of these strategies and tactics are about like making it much more vibrant and making it much more about the person. So, for example, Bible-based learning. So we have a customer who she has a particular liking for a particular set of Bible verses, let's say, or a particular book. I'm not very religious myself, but I'm sure you'll be able to correct me. Called the Hagios study, and it's this study of a particular book of the Bible, I believe, is what it is. So it's not like the whole Bible. It's like we study this specific thing, and she has things like, she has a progress tracker where every day you have to log in and you have to share your favorite Bible verse that you read from that book that day. So, for example, you might have a 10-minute reading thing to do, that you might have to read this section of the thing, and in order to demonstrate your engagement, or to kind of like prove that you've done it, you have to hop into the community, and there is a daily check-ins group. And that daily check-ins group, everybody every day is saying, hey, just done my 10-minute reading, and today this sentence was really impactful to me, or this sentence really made me reflect on my life at the minute, or whatever. And that's a requirement of the course, but it also means that it's creating a sort of it's a natural snowball of engagement for people to want to engage with each other. And maybe one person's quote like prompts somebody else that they were thinking too, or also maybe somebody adds in their quote, and somebody who didn't do theirs yet today is reading that going, damn, like I should go and do mine, because that seemed to have been really important for them, so let me go and do mine too. So that's an example of like an engagement-based social activity around kind of informal or Bible religious setting. Great idea for Bible studies. Yeah, there's loads. Check out the Hagios study. They do a great job of engaging people. I've got another client as well later on. If we've got time in the Q&A, remind me to bring up religion and public life. If anyone in the ether remembers religionandpubliclife.org, remind me when we're in the Q&As, and I'll have a chat to you about that for sure.
We did have another question come in real quick about engagement, specifically with gamification.
Mm-hmm.
So if you award points for courses, how would they use them? So like, do you think you could talk a little bit to the point systems that are available within BuddyBoss?
Definitely. So BuddyBoss integrates, firstly, we can talk tech, and we'll get that out of the way in like 1 second, because that's not what you care about. BuddyBoss has a deep integration with a very robust gamification platform called GamiPress. I suspect Lifter might also integrate with it. If it doesn't, I know Lifter has a gamification system of its own. So how you use gamification, there are a lot of potential options for you, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. But on the flip side of that, it can also be a little bit shallow. So if all you're doing is giving people points for doing things, then that's like step one. That's like you can smell gamification in the air, but like you're not really gamifying the experience. Yeah, you're like awarding points or whatever. So I would say there's two broad ways that you can use points in a way that goes beyond just the awarding of the points themselves. The first and most obvious is you can use a leaderboard to show students that are collecting points and rank them against each other. You can also in GamiPress, you can have leaderboards that are time-based. So you can say the most amount of points this month, or the most amount of points in this area. So for example, you can award points that are to do with a specific topic or a specific module of your course. So if one of them is really important, or if there's a repeated action, let's say, within your course, you can award points just for the recurrence of that thing. And then the students can kind of compete against each other to win the most points. So that's like basics. That's like gamification like 101. Another way you can use gamification is you can use, which I think is more to the question that you're asking, is you can actually use points as an on-site currency. So you can allow your students to gain advantages on your system, or to gain monetary value on your system by redeeming the points that they've earned for doing things in your course. So in a world where the points don't have any monetary value, you might, for example, allow people who've reached a certain number of points to get a VIP group access. You might allow people who have earned a certain number of points to redeem those points for services like coaching. So if your coaching normally costs $99 an hour, but if somebody wants to spend 50 points on a coaching session, then they can earn those points by doing things in your course, and they can redeem those points for services that you offer that you know is valuable to them, but maybe they can't afford them. And then the third way to do it is to allow them to redeem the points for monetary value, which is kind of like a hybrid of number 2, which I said. So if you sell anything else on your site, or sell anything else on your course, maybe it's even just you sell merch, like you sell t-shirts or you sell hats or whatever, you can allow people who've earned points in your course to redeem those points in your shop. And GamiPress also integrates very deeply with WooCommerce, and it becomes a payment gateway. So you can earn your points in GamiPress, and when you have your WooCommerce shop, people check out of the shop. It doesn't matter what it's for. It could be if you're selling coaching or if you're selling a hat or whatever. They can select to redeem their points in the shop and gain whatever they want out of that. So that's some examples of how you might use gamification or how you might use points to actually encourage engagement.
And I just 2 quick points on that. With GamiPress, I love GamiPress. Ruben Garcia, Automator WP, and GamiPress.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Automator WP runs my life in many ways.
But like like you can also do things like you can have courses marked complete when a student or lessons marked complete when a student achieves a certain number of points. For example, so they could hit a threshold and complete something that like they have to interact with the community 10 times. They get 1 point for interacting. Once they hit those 10 points, they complete the lesson automatically. Things like that. Or I've heard course creators say, like, you know, for what you said with serving students that don't necessarily have like the monetary resources, but they're willing to invest the energy in the platform, like you said, where they could invest that effort energy that's rewarded with points and then is rewarded with the whatever value they get from the points. I love
for sure. Yeah. Taking your idea one step further, I know we could, the three of us could probably rant on this for hours. Imagine a world where you have a discussion forum for each of your lessons, or if you have, let's say, topics that have multiple lessons within them, and each kind of broad umbrella topic has a discussion forum. And imagine you earned points every time you asked a question in the discussion forum, and then you halted their course progression until they'd earned a certain number of points in that discussion forum. So, hey, you're completing this lesson, or you're on this topic right now. You have to go and speak in this discussion forum in order to progress. And you have to ask 10 questions, or you have to earn 10 points. And you can earn points by either asking questions or answering other people, is also another great one. So one of the things that I encourage our students to do is, the reason I said gamification is like this mad world and you can get really into it, is like gamification. You can create your own gamification algorithm whereby different things have different value to you and your students. So rather than just awarding 1 point for a question and 1 point for an answer, you might decide asking questions is more valuable to your community. So you might award 2 points for questions, but 1 point for an answer. And you can tell the students that. So you can say, hey, you need to earn 10 points to progress here. You can either ask 5 questions or you can answer 10 other people. Which would you like? You know, you go do whichever combination of those that you like, but you can sort of encourage the types of behavior that you want to encourage within your student platform, you know? And I think my suggestion would be do a few of them to start with, just like to get the lay of the landing. You know, gamification's incredible, but you won't really know what types of behaviors you want to encourage until you've been doing it for a while and you've seen the types of behaviors that you want to encourage, because every group of students is different, every course is different. And so certain types of students on certain types of courses need a certain type of behavior in order to get the most out of the course. And it's not a one size fits all. There are no like, oh, gamification is this for every course. It's a very unique thing to your students and your platform.
Nice. And we did have some other questions come in, but we could hold those to the Q&A about integrating forums with lessons, and
let's do that. Yeah, we can answer as many as you like in the Q&A for sure. Right, let me jump back across to strategy number 3. We are on strategy number 3. Does anyone remember what it was? It was retain. So retain or retention is probably something that you've talked about a lot. You've probably heard about it a lot. You've probably rolled your eyes so far into the back of your head that they've come around the other side. But retention really is one of the most important things for course growth and for increasing the impact that you have on your students, especially if you are selling your course more than as a standalone product. If you sell anything that is a recurring model, or if you sell a membership, or if your course is actually a subscription, or even if you're selling a payment plan that goes, what I recommend is it goes beyond 3 months. If it's like pay in 3, then okay, there are ways you can encourage people to complete their 3 payments, but really we're not really talking about retention at that point. Anything after pay in 3, I consider that to be a recurring revenue type model. You might have a 6 months, once a month for 6 months or whatever. So retention is absolutely crucial, whether you're running subscription-based membership or one-time purchase courses. Subscriptions, it obviously directly influences your recurring revenue, ensuring a stable income over time, allowing you to reinvest more in the growth of your course. But for one-time purchases, high retention actually boosts brand loyalty. It leads to recommendations, and it leads to more purchases of more things in the future. So if engagement is like you buy something, you get engaged, and that gives you the trust you need to buy something again, think about retention as like the cycle repeating itself many, many times over and over again, or as many times as you can. Because, in an ideal world, if we only had 100 students, but they bought every single thing we ever put out there, and they kept all their subscriptions up and they paid for everything forever, we wouldn't really need that many people if we could just hold on to the people that say yes to us for longer. So poor retention then can mean increased marketing cost because you're losing as many people as you're bringing in. It can also mean a constant scramble for new students. Like you have no choice but like focus all your attention on increasing signups because you're losing so many students out the back end. It also creates a financial and emotional strain too, because you have to constantly be on this hamster wheel of student churn. So the opposite to retention is churn. You want to reduce churn, increase retention. In contrast to that, good retention, it stabilizes your business. It allows you to focus on what's the next thing. It allows you to focus on having more of an impact on the audience that you want, because if your business is stable, you don't have to worry so much about the instability and you don't have to constantly be spinning plates. You can stand back and go, okay, my course supports itself now. My business is supporting itself. What's the next thing I want to do? Or not even what's the next thing, but what's the next most valuable thing I could be putting my time into to help these students or this community that I care about get more out of it. All right, so let's share some ways that social learning environments can significantly enhance your retention. All right, number 1 is creating a richer content library and enhancing content discovery. This might be a little bit unsexy, but I personally think this is one of the most important things you can do to help the retention of your course. For an online course, chances are you have the video lessons and they probably live in a nice, pretty video player on a nice lesson page. And the chances are you probably also have a library of other stuff that might be spread around your site. You might have links to some things here, and you might have some things in a library. Will, you might be able to let me know. Is there like a resource library feature in Lifter where people can like organize everything all at once in one place, or is it more like lessons have lesson materials?
Loads of the lessons have lesson materials.
Yeah, got it right. So that's the kind of traditional way of doing things, where like I'm in a lesson, and because I'm in this lesson, I need these materials. Makes total sense, right? It's logical. The problem with that is you have students who come back over and over again because they're not necessarily taking action on the thing as they learn it. So they're coming back and they're going, where was that PDF again? Where was that spreadsheet that they sent me a template for this thing? What lesson was that in? And they've got to go back in and dig out the lesson that they were in and try and find these resources. Whereas with a social learning environment, you can create a rich library of your content where somebody doesn't necessarily, where the videos themselves or the lesson content becomes just one aspect of that library, where students can sort of go and learn or go and participate and go and take the things that they need when they need them in a much easier way for them. And it makes your content much more discoverable, right? Having a rich content library is important for a course because it can help keep students engaged and committed to the course. Easy access to a variety of relevant materials not only aids in the understanding of the complex concepts, but it also keeps the students interested in the course content. Because without resources like this, students are going to struggle to find the necessary information when they need to. It's going to start causing them to get frustrated that they can't find what they want when they want to go there, and potentially decrease the continuation of the course itself, because they log in, they can't find what they need, and so they leave and they go do something else, or they can't find what they thought they needed, and so they go find that thing elsewhere, which is an even worse scenario. They go and they find the next best thing. As a course creator, you should take lots of the content that you've got already, and you should think about how can you combine all of that content into a library that becomes a living resource in itself, where the student can dip in and dip out of it and find what they need really quickly, and put to use the content that you've already got. Answer me in the chat, anyone. How many of you have like a Dropbox full of PDFs and templates and things that you like have to manage as almost like a separate business? Obviously, it might not be in Dropbox or whatever, but like in my course, like for years, I just had this like Frankenstein of files and folders of just the resources and the downloads and all of the course materials living inside a Dropbox, and I constantly had to be updating links. And like, what happens? You go to your course, you add your course material, you upload your PDF in there, and then 2 weeks later you recreate that PDF, and you think, damn, where's all the places that I put that link? Because now I got to go update this PDF in all of these different places. Otherwise, some poor student is going to go there, click that link, and download the old version. So with a content library that a social learning environment encourages you to create, you create a much more centralized process to manage all of that. So that was number one. Number two is events and recurring value through social interactions. All right. So this one's probably going to be very a lot of you are going to have this integrated in your courses already, and if you don't, then you certainly need to listen up. So interactive events and social interactions or social interactions in your course means transforming the learning experience into a much more dynamic learning experience, rather than just the sort of one-way receiving of information or dictating of information to your students. Creating events and event-based learning is a way to create a much more dynamic hub, and it will mean that your students are encouraged to stick around for much longer. So this involves you can host various different types of events like workshops, guest lectures, networking sessions, things which offer real-time engagement opportunities. Now, these events, they create a sense of belonging in the community and among the students. Without these elements, students might feel isolated, they might feel disconnected, which can or will negatively impact their commitment to the course, and it will hike that dropout rate. Students are more likely to drop out if they don't feel connected to other people that are taking the course, or connected to their course leaders or the expert who's delivering the course. So to avoid this, you want to plan to be hosting regular events for your students, and you want to create those opportunities for that social interaction in as much of a live environment as you possibly can. In person would be great, but in a world where people are concerned with in-person interactions, you definitely want to be leveraging virtual in-person events, or virtual live meetings and virtual live events, to encourage that engagement in your community. So as an example, a graphic design course, well, you could have monthly design challenges that are judged by maybe industry professionals, where everybody gets on a Zoom, has a chat about what they want to do. They go into their breakout rooms, they do their thing, they come back, and then they're judged. Maybe they're judged live, or you could even expand that out to be like a whole one-day seminar type event where there's lots of different events happening all at once, all focused around one key topic within your course, or one key subject of interest for your students. This sense of belonging, like I said, can significantly increase the likelihood of them staying enrolled for a longer period of time, or staying engaged with the course content, sticking with it for longer than they probably would if there weren't any event-based learning opportunities. An example of something that I've seen done very well recently, you're probably thinking, yeah, Jason, but like I spend most of my time creating new course content, or I spend most of my time creating, assets or resources or PDF. Like I don't have the time to do this whole planning of the events and the sort of like, all of the effort that goes into like creating all of these things. And I would say one of the easiest things you can do if you're not doing any kind of event-based learning or event-based activities in your online course, is I would say set up a weekly hot seating session. A weekly hot seating session involves no prep whatsoever for you. There is nothing you need to do whatsoever. All you do is you create a regular stream for your students. You can do that on Zoom if you like. And once a week, you get on the Zoom, and anybody who joins you has 5 minutes. They get on, they have 5 minutes to outline whatever problem or challenge that they're struggling with right now, and you give them a 10-minute answer or even a 5-minute answer, depending on how many people you get on the live stream. I like to start with 2 minutes and 5 minutes because I get maybe about 10 people per hot seating session come on. And so if I want to keep it kind of like within an hour or 90 minutes, I give like 5 to 10 people 5 to 10 minutes each. And it involves no prep because I don't need to ask them anything in advance. They hop on, there's a timer, gives them 1 to 2 minutes to give me their frustration, their challenge, what they're struggling with or what they need help with. And then I set a timer to give them 5 minutes back of me answering their question. And then I open it to the floor. So I say, hey, this is my answer for you. Does anyone else have any feedback on this, or anyone else want to give advice to Sarah on her challenge that she's struggling with? And then you can take that content and you can stick it in your content library, and it lives there forever. And you can even go one step further if you want, and you could take the transcript and you could index the transcript so that people can search for the topics that they're interested in, and they can go watch your videos to watch your hot seating session where you covered that thing. That's a really easy, low commitment way to both get an event-based learning thing on your calendar that's regular. And the more consistent you are, the more people that you will get, because they feel like they're getting a huge amount of value. They're getting like one-to-one time with you, and it's included in the cost of their membership or their course. Like, that's amazing. So you'll get a lot of people sign up for that. And it also means you're taking that time that you could have spent creating one resource. You're helping 5 to 10 people individually at a much higher level than you would if it was just a PDF download or whatever. But then you get to squeeze the value out of that content by letting it live in the library, and send that email to every other course student that you got saying, hey, this week's hot seating session is up for you. Go check it out. And if all you did was create your course, put your course online, and added a weekly hot seating session, well, there you have your dynamic content forever, and you don't need to do any extra prep. They can be taking their course anytime that suits them, and every week they know they have an opportunity to hop across into the Zoom and have a chat with you about whatever it is that they're struggling with. So that is events and recurring value through social interactions. All right. So that is it for my sort of strategies. If you will indulge me for a minute, I would love to give you a little bit of an insight into how you might use BuddyBoss as a solution to help you achieve any or all of the things that we've been talking about today. So obviously, I know that you want to increase your course signups. I know that you're concerned about making your content stand out, getting as much value as you can from your content, and you need a platform that helps you to enshrine that social learning experience. And hopefully, BuddyBoss is a solution that can help you do that. I'm fairly confident that it is, but hopefully you'll give that consideration. So similarly, if deepening student engagement is your goal, a solution that helps you offer interactive and communal learning is essential. And for those that are focusing on retaining students long-term, a system that makes it easy to maintain ongoing student interest, keep on top of the content and community is key. And BuddyBoss, I believe, is the ideal solution that helps you do that. BuddyBoss offers obviously a comprehensive social learning environment for social learning and community building. With BuddyBoss, your courses can become a hub where students don't just learn, but they also connect and share and grow together. And this way, students feel more connected, they stay engaged for longer, and they're more likely to continue their learning journey with you. So let's take a quick look at some of the top features and the benefits of those features that align perfectly with everything that I've just kind of outlined to you. So the first of those, as you've noticed on my screen, is social groups. This one is massive. Social groups in BuddyBoss are areas within the platform where students can gather based on shared interest or course topics. Groups allow students to interact, discuss, and collaborate on course-related activities and projects. They're designed to facilitate community building within your course environment. And the benefits of social groups include, well, with BuddyBoss social groups, you can enable cohort-based learning, like I said, for your students to engage with each other, go through the course together at the same time, leading to higher course completion rates and stronger bonds within your community students. BuddyBoss social groups allow internal private discussions, which enriches the learning experience, making the course more interactive and appealing to potential students. And once you are part of a social group, you can participate in all of the private activities that go on within that group. And you, as the course leader, can either allow or not allow activities that are specific to groups to happen in that private setting. So you might have, for example, if your course topic is about something that is sensitive in nature, answer in the chat if any of you have a course that might be related to a health issue or a particular faith or religious belief system, or any other type of content that might be considered to be a sensitive issue. For example, we have a customer whose online course and their online learning environment helps survivors of abuse, and they use social groups as a way to help people who are suffering from particular things to commune with each other without having to let all of the other people know that that's what they're suffering with. So people who have shared trauma or shared troubles or are struggling with shared things can all kind of collect together and all engage in shared events and whatever without everybody else knowing that that's what this person is struggling with. So that's a really powerful way that you can use social groups to help you enrich your learning environment. The next one up is forums. So forums provided by BuddyBoss are obviously discussion spaces that are related to specific course topics. They enable students to post questions, share insights, and engage in those kinds of discussions. These forums are structured to support academic dialogue and peer-to-peer interaction within the courses. Benefits of forums, forums have been around a long time, but for BuddyBoss forums, you have features to make it easy to discuss particular topics. You have where students can ask questions, participate in discussions, and express their ideas around specific lessons or topics or subtopics within your course. A great way to keep them engaged. And you also have both private and group-based forums, and public forums are also available in BuddyBoss. So like I said, you can have forums where people can discuss things that are sensitive in nature or that are just private because maybe they don't have the tier of membership or they need to pay more for access to that or whatever. Or maybe you can have discussion forums that relate to their level of expertise, where you don't want people discussing expert level topics in the same place where beginners are discussing the sort of like the basic ideas. Next up, we have, like I said, gamification and feeds. So another feature that helps greatly in social learning is gamification. Research recently done by Taylor and Francis, who are an education research firm, showed that 67% of students found gamified learning to be more motivating and engaging than traditional courses. Gamification in BuddyBoss incorporates gaming elements such as points, badges, and leaderboards, like I said, with a deep integration with GamiPress. So some of the benefits of gamification: you have activity or achievement-based points, rewards, badges, and like I said, BuddyBoss allows gamification to your course, making it engaging and fun for your students. You can also add levels or leaderboards to show student progression, and BuddyBoss also offers social media style activity feeds where students can see each other's activity, including all the points and levels and things that they're scoring, making students feel more interconnected, leading to better engagement with courses and other students. Then we have documents and media. This is the holy grail, as far as I'm concerned, of social learning environments. So obviously, having a single resource library where you can collect and collate all of your resources, like I said, is hugely important. Some of the benefits are, well, BuddyBoss supports all document types like PDFs and zips. So for example, if you wanted to upload project files, but they were in the zip file format, WordPress as standard doesn't support that type of file for security reasons, but BuddyBoss allows you to do that. It also supports every other file type from MP3, MP4. If you wanted to add any other kinds of rich media, it allows you to gather all of that in one place, and then it allows you to link those places from your course lessons so that you can have the dynamically or the constantly updating library and the course lessons be always in sync. And then we have events and Zoom. So BuddyBoss has a deep integration with Zoom, which is really great. It allows you to set up one-time or recurring meetings inside your course. With BuddyBoss, you're not just limited to text and recorded video options. You can teach your lessons live on Zoom also if you wanted to. During Zoom video meetings, you can also, share your screen, do all the normal things that you would like to do. And there is also a way that you can actually host your Zoom meetings inside your BuddyBoss environment so people don't have to go outside the platform to participate in the live video. Obviously, that is, you know, a WebRTC kind of embed for any techies out there who know what that is. Zoom obviously wants you to go out to their platform and watch the Zoom and whatever, but we also have a deep integration with community or a group-based feeds of events. So let's say you have specific events that are related to only one group type. Well, the group member can log in and they can see their list of events all in one place. And the last feature I want to highlight is probably one of the most popular features of the BuddyBoss platform, which is your messaging, your private messaging and your group messaging. So this allows you to have direct communication between you and your students, and between your students and each other. BuddyBoss allows live messaging, so that is live talking in real time, but also without needing to refresh your browser, similar to how everything else works, like Facebook Messenger and and WhatsApp or anything like that students will be familiar with. Most other messaging platforms that live on WordPress don't have that. They require you to like refresh your browser or whatever. So it creates a much more dynamic chatting environment, allowing you to also have things like coaching on your within your BuddyBoss. And the group messaging also allows groups of students to communicate in the same kind of chat interface, but just with groups of those people, like you would expect from your Facebook group messaging, your Facebook group chats, they call it, or things like WhatsApp groups that you all are probably very familiar with. BuddyBoss has group messaging too. So that is it for the BuddyBoss kind of feature sets and how I believe we can help you transition from just your course to enhancing it with a social community platform. If you are aiming to convert more prospects into students, deeply engaging your learners and retaining them for long-term success, and you can see that BuddyBoss is a tool that might help you do this, then I would love to offer you, for the next 24 hours only, we're actually going to give you backdoor access to our lifetime deal. So we're not only going to give you access to the lifetime deal, but we're also going to drop the price by 20% for any of you Lifter customers who are out there now and thinking, damn, like I need to get on this BuddyBoss train because it seems like they're doing an amazing job. And it seems like this is the kind of thing that will really take my course to the next level, help me convert more students and help me stand out. Then jump on this lifetime deal. For the next 24 hours, you'll be able to get 20% off our lifetime deal. So you pay for BuddyBoss once, and you get it forever. That's the BuddyBoss Platform Pro and Theme Lifetime Deal. So head over to buddyboss.com/lifter, yes, and you'll be able to rock and roll on that 20% offer. On that same page, you'll also be able to download, for any of you who want to, like I promised earlier, my free lead magnet for you, which is my 4-step framework, which I call the 4-step magnetic community growth method. Thanks, ChatGPT, for that title. The framework outlines what I deem to be the only 2 assets and the only 2 activities that you need to be doing to magnetize your ideal student to your community. If you're concerned with your community growth, your community engagement, you want to encourage more people to come to your community, then as far as I'm concerned, there's only 2 assets that you need, and there's only 2 activities that you need to be doing in order to kickstart that and help that happen, okay? So head over to buddyboss.com/lifter, yes, and you'll be able to download that free resource too. In fact, I even have a slide dedicated just for it. Thank you, BuddyBoss design team. Look at that, the 4-step magnetic community growth method. So yeah, head over to buddyboss.com/lifter, yes. Sweet. So that brings us onto our Q&A session, I think, folks. Thank you very much for indulging me in a bit of BuddyBoss chat. Hopefully that was super useful for you, and hopefully whether you decide to add BuddyBoss to your platform or not, hopefully you got value from that, and hopefully you can take away some of those strategies and lessons to incorporate into your own course, whether or not you use BuddyBoss. But I would love to see you over there, and if you do, hop into our community, drop me a line and let me know that you came over from the Lifter webinar, and I'll give you a wave. Cool. Thanks a lot, Chris, Will, and let's rock and roll our Q&A, shall we?
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jason. I know you're probably worn out for talking like so much. I know when I'm talking on like a live stream for like an hour, I like get super thirsty and parched. But we have 14 questions, so let's keep the party going. And anyone watching, feel free to drop any questions in the chat. We're going to keep the Q&A going for a while here and try to get as much of this covered as we can. I'm not going to go in chronological order. I'll just kind of go in the order I think that the questions will make sense here. But
go in order of easiest to most difficult. No, I'm joking. Go
Easiest to most-
whatever order you like.
yeah, we'll put together a story with the questions, hopefully.
Yeah.
So I guess this question is, how do Lifter LMS and BuddyBoss fit together? Do you use one of them or one or the other? Like, what are the features? So do you want to dive into that? Or I don't know.
For sure, yeah.
A lot of experience.
I can kind of give an overview of like how the kind of BuddyBoss like ecosystem works and how Lifter sits inside that, and then maybe if there's more specific questions related to like integration type stuff or feature kind of parity or whatever, I might pass back over to you. But certainly, so BuddyBoss has what we call BuddyBoss Web has two components. It has the BuddyBoss platform, which is a free open source plugin, and then it has the BuddyBoss theme, which is a WordPress theme that lives on top of the BuddyBoss platform. So how that would impact you for Lifter customers is, chances are, obviously Lifter is a plugin and it is an LMS plugin. Chances are you probably have a theme already that lives alongside that. Throw a few examples of the most popular themes at me. Will probably, you've got a lot of customers.
Cadence.
Yeah, exactly. Themes like that, like Cadence and Astra, whatever. So if you want to use BuddyBoss alongside Lifter LMS, then there's two ways that you can do that. Firstly, there's the recommended way that I would recommend personally, and then there's also like the way you can rely on it too if you don't want to go down that route. So what I would recommend is the BuddyBoss platform is the sort of core. The BuddyBoss platform is the engine, and with the lifetime deal, you get the BuddyBoss platform, which is the free open source platform, but you also get Platform Pro, which adds on lots of functionality and features that are sort of premium. So that's the platform side of things. You would install that as a plugin. And by activating that plugin, it would add all of the functionality that you need to your existing WordPress site. And the BuddyBoss platform is theme agnostic. So what that means is, pretty much, I haven't yet found a theme that you can't run the BuddyBoss platform on. We sort of inherit the basic styling from any theme out there in the world, and we kind of sit within the existing theme. Okay, so theme agnostic. Now, we don't necessarily have styles for every existing platform, but if you have an existing theme and you want to try out BuddyBoss, you can install the BuddyBoss platform and Platform Pro if you wish, and you can start using the functionality. However, the BuddyBoss theme adds all of the styling and all of the visual elements that you will want to be using inside your social community. It basically makes your social community look and feel like a proper social learning environment, okay? So the recommended way to use Lifter with BuddyBoss would be to have the BuddyBoss platform and the BuddyBoss theme, and to use the BuddyBoss theme as your primary theme, at which point Lifter integrates perfectly well. We have styles that take the Lifter elements and style them to live in harmony inside the BuddyBoss theme. So we've created specific styles for Lifter LMS so that the Lifter LMS looks perfect and amazing inside BuddyBoss. And if you're in the camp, well, you have to be in this camp if you're not using BuddyBoss, which is you have another theme that you're currently living inside, then BuddyBoss also supports any theme that is a page builder type theme. So for example, if you're using Elementor, like with the Hello theme, if you're using Cadence blocks, or if you're using anything like that, to some extent even Gutenberg, but you'd probably want to be having a theme anyway if you're running Gutenberg only. But basically in that instance, you would use the page builder functionality of the theme, but none of the theme's main pages wouldn't be active. The BuddyBoss pages would take over, but you can then build your BuddyBoss pages. You can build within the BuddyBoss pages using that builder. So you can either turn off the BuddyBoss theme features and build your pages from scratch, or you can have your page builder functionality within the kind of within the page itself, if that makes sense. My mic decided it had enough there and just flew up in the sky. It was like, that's enough, Jason. You've answered the question to enough of an extent now.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that overview. I think that makes a lot of sense. And this was a question, or I wanted to jump to a question here about integrating forums. So we talked about BuddyBoss forums allow for interaction with students. And can those be integrated into Lifter LMS lessons? This user, Vicky, has tried to use a short
Yeah, that's a
code.
great question. Mhm.
So how do forums and lessons interact?
Yeah, sure. When you talk about making a forum with a Buddy Boss group part of the curriculum, is this course going over Buddy Boss then coming back, or can it be done inside the lesson? So that's several questions in one. So firstly, forums and groups in Buddy Boss are technically two separate components. You can, if you like, have forums and no groups. You can, if you like, have groups and no forums. And you can, if you like, have both, and you can have them be owned by each other. So you can have a forum that's owned by a group. So let's say there's a group for dog lovers, and then you can have a forum be like different dog breeds or dog food, dog training, dog whatever, and that would all live inside a group itself. They can be attached or detached. You have that option. How that then relates to courses and course lessons, what I like to do is I like to create a forum topic for every lesson in every course that I have. And then, like you said, Vicky, I think it was the same Vicky who asked the previous part A to the question. I do use a short code, and I take the short code and I include just that forum topic in the body of my lesson content. So that when somebody's looking at their video and whatever they're doing, they've got their video, they've got their quiz underneath. Right there in the course content is the discussion ongoing. You don't have to go somewhere to answer the question. You don't have to go anywhere. You can, if you like. That same forum discussion is the same forum discussion that lives over there in the forums if you want to go there. But I have every single forum topic pulled into my course lessons so that right then and there, they don't need to go anywhere. They can engage in that too. And you can do that at several levels. Because there is so much complexity that you could have, I like to keep it as simple as possible and have a topic inside a lesson. But you could, in theory, have a forum inside a lesson, which would basically give you like multiple topics inside that lesson. But like, then you're getting super complicated. And in that instance, why would you not send them back over to the forum? So I think the part A to your question, you had the right idea with taking a short code. And if that's not working for you, let's figure that out, because it's working for me. So, and I think I'm using the same plugin you just mentioned. So let's figure that out, because that should work for you. You have a short code, and it has, whatever the short code is like whatever BB forum, and you just need to make sure that you include the forum ID, and you just go and copy your forum ID from whatever topic you just created, whack in your short code straight into your course content, and there you have your discussion right there. So that's how that works. That would be the same for Lifter as it is with any other LMS, or in fact any other content area on your site at all. You can use those short codes to include a forum post or forum discussion thread anywhere you like, anywhere that accepts short codes, widget areas, anywhere. So I hope that answers that question for you, Vicky. If not, sue me. Don't sue me.
Anthony Howard in chat. Thanks, Jason. Love your presentations.
Thanks, Anthony. Love your attitude. Nice. More of you, please.
And,
if I could jump in, Jason,
for sure.
When I speak with clients and I help represent Lifter with customers, I get the impression there's like two distinct thoughts about, because it's WordPress and the unbelievable flexibility of WordPress, right? We can design what we want as we want. So I think some people think of their website as being like an outdoor shopping center where each store or element of their website requires exiting a store and going to another store. Whereas a lot of people think of it as being like a department store where there's clothing and tools and appliances and cookware. And it doesn't matter what cash register you go to in that department store, it's all in the website. And so I try to encourage people, at least in my sphere, that like your website's like a department store. You don't have to worry about, is this platform this and is this platform that. The main thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I always think of, I want to do anything I can to reduce churn in the site as a whole. I'm not worried too much about each individual tool that's in the website. For sure, yeah, definitely. To jump on your analogy, back when I was a struggling actor, I used to work for a very famous department store. The department store was called Harrods of London, if anyone knows. It's like a luxury department store. And when you're at that level of department store, you really focus on reducing friction for your customers. You really focus on
what's the journey of this customer? They walk through the door and what happens? So imagine if I took your analogy of a department store one level further, and rather than just having concessions of all your different tools where you're in one room, but you've got like tools over there and cookware over there and whatever, imagine a world where when somebody walked into your store, they had a concierge. And the concierge said, hey, what do you need today? What are you struggling with? And you said, I need this, I need this, I need this. And they said, no problem, follow me. I know this store can be overwhelming, so let me walk you there. Let me walk you from place to place. And while we're going there, let me recommend you some things that you might not have even thought about. You have this challenge and you think that this is the solution to that challenge. Well, sure, I'll take you there. But while we're going, let me present you another idea. Let me present you with something you might not have thought of. And it would be a little bit false to say like that Buddy Boss is that concierge, because like that's not entirely true. You still have to do the work of like walking the student around. But that's the sort of way I like to think about creating a student or a social learning environment, is like, how can we learn about the individual, what their needs are, and then in the most seamless way possible, hand them what they need when they need it, rather than being like, yeah, sure, like there's tools, they're on floor 3, aisle 2, enjoy, and I hope you don't get lost in perfumes on the way. So for sure, that's like, in my mind, one of the biggest benefits of making your of transforming your static course into a social learning environment umbrella is you have all of these possibilities. You've all these ways that you as the business owner or the expert can guide your students towards what they need when they need it.
Nice.
That's kind of how I think of it.
Nice. Thanks for that.
Sure.
And another question we had is, we've spoken a little bit to the Buddy Boss demo, and Vicky in chat says, I love the Buddy Boss demo specific to Lifter LMS. You can find, I put a link in chat earlier. I think it's, I'm going to forget what it is. Probably lifterlikes.com/Buddy Boss or something like that. But you can find that Lifter LMS demo that Buddy Boss has and create a staging website to try out that integration. So for anyone in the chat who wants to try out Lifter LMS and Buddy Boss is on the fence, check that link out and you can see a free demo site where you can experiment with it. And I guess, are there any key features in the Lifter LMS Buddy Boss integration that you want to highlight? Jason, I know basically this whole webinar is a highlight of the features of integrating the two together, but are there any like technical features? Like we talked about integrating forums into lessons. Are there any other hot tech tips for creating a cool environment like that with social learning in Lifter with Buddy Boss?
For sure. So I think the basic one, we can work from the lesson page out, because the lesson page is the page that everyone sees all the time. It's the most trafficked page, if you know what I mean. Obviously, each individual lesson page is different, but we're talking about like there is a lesson page that the content is filled into, and Buddy Boss takes over that lesson page and creates like a much more kind of like focused and social and engaging environment for people. So that's the very first thing is that we sort of we take a much more active role in the content consumption part of that process. So once you've installed your Lifter, your lesson page becomes a much more interactive and a much more kind of vibrant page itself. So that's thing number one. Then, as I said, all of those other specific tools can be used flawlessly with Lifter LMS. There is no, in fact, I can't think of, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that can't be done with Lifter LMS. So you could have, the first thing I would do is I would create a group for every course topic. That's the first thing I would do. And then I would have, I would probably create cohorts too. And then I would start bringing my students through in bunches. But I guess, that's not even specific to Lifter LMS. That's because that's how we handle all LMSs on Buddy Boss. That's kind of like part of what you're getting by joining the Buddy Boss world, I guess. So I'm thinking it must be key features of functionality that this combo does best. I think in terms of key features, that's everything that I've been outlining in the whole webinar is like, those are the things that are the key features that we do best together.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think that to my mind, there isn't any Lifter. Maybe are there Lifter unique features that are like not present in other LMSs that maybe that might be helpful to talk about? or is there anything that might fall outside the norm, or like what is Lifter known for being uniquely good at?
Yeah, if I could jump in there, I've got clients that have these systems, Jason, and I think what the integration really brings together with Lifter LMS and Buddy Boss is that styling element with the Buddy Boss theme that incorporates or envelops the features that Lifter LMS brings. Because it's like, well, what magic feature is Buddy Boss going to add to the learning environment? Well, it's not really adding a magic feature, but it is styling and adding a consistency to the one-on-one coaching feature that we call private areas. It is, offering that Zoom integration that, we have a post in Lifter LMS about how to use Zoom, right? But the Buddy Boss envelops that process and the user experience at a much higher level. And I think that's, some people are looking for a magic stick, a magic answer, a magic button that there's something extraordinary is going to happen. And it's not something new and extraordinary, but it is that framework, that enveloped design. I'm not going to say perfection, but that lack of friction that we talked about. It's just makes it more cohesive for the user.
Yeah, nice. So I think, jumping on the back of that, like that's one of the it sort of talks back to one of the points I brought up about when you are trying to present your course environment to a student to buy, you want to be presenting an environment that is competing against the kinds of environments where the companies are $1 million companies. And, that's what I describe as, you've got to compete strong, really strongly to set yourself apart from your competitors, but also to position yourself alongside the likes of companies that are doing this kinds of thing, at an enterprise level. And I think that's where Buddy Boss really shines, is like it takes the existing, content that you've got and the existing functionality that Lifter provides to its customers, and it makes the whole thing feel like a really robust and all-encompassing platform. It takes the sort of learning environment, takes the sort of lesson environment, and turns that into a whole platform experience, I think. And the other thing is that I will say, more on the sort of soft skills end of the spectrum, which is not a Buddy Boss thing, but I'm going to say it anyway, which is, I would say that the magic, you described like people are looking for like a magic bullet, a magic feature or whatever. Any feature could be a magic feature for you. Any feature or piece of functionality could be a magic feature for you and your students. But the real magic is in you deciding and you sitting down and working out what do I want this experience to feel like? What do I want this experience to look like? What do I want the steps of this experience to be? And then Buddy Boss allows you to take those ideas and turn them into reality. So that's why I'm kind of like struggling to come up with an idea of a feature, because really what it allows you to do is take your ideas of what a great community experience should be, a great social learning experience should be, and it allows you to actualize those, whether that is through messaging or forums or groups or or the Zoom integration or whatever, any of those feature sets. The real magic is in you deciding what that experience should look like, and then knowing that you have no limitations. You can whatever you can imagine, you can achieve.
Yeah,
I think.
Sweet.
That was my rant. You can clip that and whack it up on a YouTube short and tag me in it.
I like that. I like that clip of off the top of my head. I can't think of anything that you can't do with Lifter LMS.
Yeah, you can take that. Jason said so.
But yeah, we had a couple questions about the technical specifics of Lifter LMS, WordPress, and Buddy Boss, and one was, can I upload videos directly into Buddy Boss? And so I feel like that's more of a higher level like WordPress question, but we could absolutely look into that.
The simple answer is yes. The more complicated answer is hell yes. You can upload videos directly into Buddy Boss in many ways. Obviously, I'm sure you already know, Charla, that you can upload files of any type to WordPress itself if you want to upload files into your media library. Now, however, we would not encourage you. I'm sure the folks at Lifter nor the folks at BuddyBoss would encourage you to upload your course lesson videos straight to your own server and serve them from there. That would be a recipe for disaster. You'd want to be uploading your video lessons to, let's say, Vimeo or YouTube if you want to be all cowboy on it. And I'm sure integrate those in that way. However, BuddyBoss has several video features that are not lesson specific that allow you to upload videos into the activity feeds. So two kind of things come to mind there. Firstly, you can upload videos in the same way that you can upload videos to your Facebook feed. You go on your Facebook feed, you create a post, and you can upload a video to your post. BuddyBoss will parse that video, and it will allow that video to be played inside your site and straight from your activity feed. It also takes that video and puts it in a special folder in your WordPress. You don't need to worry about all the specifics, but it takes that video, puts it in a special folder in your WordPress so that it can be served securely and so that it can't be accessed from outside your WordPress and all that kind of stuff. And then secondly, BuddyBoss also integrates with a service called Offload Media, whereby you can upload videos straight to your activity feed, and Offload Media will take that video out of your WordPress environment, and it will make it live over there somewhere so that your server is not carrying the weight of that video every time somebody hits that play button in their activity feed or whatever. It can take all of those files, and it can serve them from Amazon or wherever, a box of storage out there somewhere. And it uses a particular technology to serve that inside BuddyBoss without your customer even knowing about it. So it basically takes that resource hungry process off your site and allows you to do that. So as that relates specifically to Lifter, that would kind of allow you to encourage video sharing in your community. If that was a way that that you could help your students learn better or internalize their learning better by sharing some kind of video, you could do that. But as it relates to the lessons themselves, that would still be handled in the same way Lifter handles its lessons currently. We wouldn't take over that process. That process would still be handled in the same way of embedding your videos into your Lifter lessons through whatever service Lifter recommends.
Awesome. And nuance to that question from Kevin Chat is, can you limit the size of the video and auto delete after a given period of time for those videos that are uploaded to the BuddyBoss timeline, or is that not yet a feature? Is that possible?
You can limit the size. Yeah, you can limit the size to anything you like. You can also have different rules for different people. So you can have course leaders are allowed to do one thing, students are allowed to do something else. You can have certain groups of people have permissions to do the thing, but also you can set limits and stuff like that. So that works for WordPress user role. It works for any WordPress user role or type. It also works for any of the 6 most popular membership platforms as well. So if you happen to use WP Fusion or WooCommerce memberships or any, there's 6 of them that we support as core to BuddyBoss. If you use any of those, you can also every single one of the features that I've mentioned. Well, maybe not. Don't quote me on every single one, but most of the core features, you can set permissions for what people are allowed to do based on their course enrollment status, based on their WordPress user role, or based on membership or lack of to any of the 6, I believe, top membership platforms. Yeah. Taking a video off after a certain time, that is not a feature that I'm currently aware of. However, I am not aware of every single feature that we have. That's not true. I am aware of every single feature that we have, and that is not one. If that was me, I might set up an automation to do that maybe, but if that's an activity feed thing, that's probably not something I would do. I would probably just offload the video and not worry about it is what I would do. I'm struggling to think of a reason why it would be very important to you to remove a video after a certain length of time. And if so, I would probably build a custom way of doing that, like a gravity form workflow or something, to allow you to upload a video and then allow it to be sort of time decay. That's what I would probably do in that situation. I can't think of a good reason why you might want to do that, but maybe let me know.
Yeah, you could also do something like, if you had a custom developer from Codable or something, write a script for the folder that stuff is stored in to check dates daily and then delete videos that pass a certain date threshold minus the current date.
Yeah, sure.
There's all kinds of cool options.
You could do that. I would probably rather pull teeth than have a coder from Codable do that for me. I would much rather have like full visibility over like I've got this gravity form that I know you fill the form out and it works, and I can edit it because I'm not a coder. I say I know enough code to make me dangerous, so I like to use the tools that are available to us laymen to kind of any of those kind of custom processes that I build in. I like to use like tools that are sort of GUI tools rather than rely on a coder. But you absolutely could for sure write a script to remove that file after a certain length of time if you wanted to put on your cowboy hat and do it that way.
Nice. I love the cowboy hat. So another question from Kevin Chat is, can members be allowed to set up their own Zooms within their groups?
Mm-hmm. So this is a slightly complicated question because it revolves around how Zoom allows people to interact with Zoom when you're not on the Zoom platform. So I'll keep it really simple for you. You have the power to add a Zoom account to every group that you have. So you can have a single Zoom account that lives across your entire site, or you can have a Zoom account that is belong to that specific group. And the reasons why that is important is because you are not allowed to have two events running at the same time from a single Zoom account. So if you had two groups, and if you happen to schedule an event at 1 p.m. here and an event at 1 p.m. here, because they're in the same Zoom account, that would break. It wouldn't work. In fact, I'm not entirely sure how it would break because it just probably wouldn't allow you to do one or the other. It would mess things up. So that's the first thing is, generally speaking, we recommend that users use a single Zoom account across their platform, and that they allow only group leaders to create new Zoom events, because that tends to be the cleanest way to mitigate that issue, because we can't control how Zoom allows you to interact with it. So we're limited by Zoom in that instance. The flip side of that is, if you decided you wanted to have lots of Zooms happening at the same time, or you wanted to empower more of your members to do that, you could, in theory, create a Zoom account that is attached to each group. We do have a few customers who, for example, have let's say maybe they have 3 Zoom accounts, and they have one of them is like the account that all free members get access to all the events. So it's kind of like all these events happening all together, but none of them are overlapping. And then we have them create another Zoom account that might be for a specific group of students, maybe like a VIP level or an experts level, so that their events can be separate and they can happen at the same time. But it means you don't have to have like 50 Zoom accounts if you have 50 groups or whatever. You can sort of like sub-segment them off a little bit. But it gets a bit more complicated. The more Zooms you add, it also gets more expensive, because each one of those Zoom accounts needs to be a pro account to get API access. So you have to, you've got to pay for each one of those accounts. So that's also a challenge in that instance. What I would probably recommend is schedule your events so that they don't happen at the same time, and use one Zoom account, and probably use if you want to allow any student to create a video call at any time, I probably wouldn't use Zoom to do that. I would probably look at integrating something like Jitsi, which is an open source video calling system that you can integrate with BuddyBoss in using a shortcode. It's very easy, and I've done that before, where I have groups. I was building a social networking site for a trade union. It was going to be the first ever online trade union in the world, and we needed a way for any member to create a breakout room at any time. That didn't have to be moderated. It didn't have to be approved by the team. They just needed to create a breakout room and jump in and invite anyone to it. And I used Jitsi to allow me to do that. I created a tab in the BuddyBoss groups, because you can create custom tabs for any content you like. Create a custom tab and you can drop a shortcode in there for anything you want. And I just dropped the Jitsi shortcode in there and let Jitsi handle the rest. And that works pretty well.
Awesome. And I want to try to wrap it up here in the next 10 minutes. We keep getting more questions.
Next couple of hours or so.
Awesome. In the next couple hours, we'll wrap it up. But yeah,
I can feel my cocktail shaker growing ever closer.
So let's if we do like a lightning round with these last questions. Is there a lifetime BuddyBoss app deal? We talk about the theme deal. in the platform deal, but
Mhm.
is there anything for the app, or is
There is a BuddyBoss lifetime deal for the app does exist. However, you are not allowed to have it on this call because I forbid you, because it would mean you would not be using Lifter, because currently the BuddyBoss app does not have an integration with Lifter LMS. So if you want to use the BuddyBoss app specifically, then I forbid it. You're not allowed, because we wouldn't be promoting that to you on this call. Hence why I didn't offer you the lifetime deal on this call, because we haven't built our Lifter LMS integration with the app yet. Those who shall not be named have a dedicated integration, but we haven't yet currently finalized the Lifter integration. So it is a web-only integration at this point. I hope I handled that in the most judicious way I possibly could.
no problem? Yeah, and then let's see. So this is a good question. Can I bring other instructors that have their own admin page in the website? That is absolutely possible with Lifter.
Yeah, for sure. So that means like you have multiple, like you have a WordPress user role called instructor, and they can they can manage the course lessons and all that kind of stuff. I imagine that's what they're talking about.
Yeah. In Lifter LMS, there's a function where you can add instructor user roles who can go build courses on their own.
Perfectly, absolutely, 100%. And you would probably, so if it works in the way I believe it does, which is it is a true WordPress user role, then that means that functionality is immediately carried over into BuddyBoss. So you can immediately assign permissions based on that user role. You can allow access to social features based on that user role. So any of those course instructors would have the same, you would have the same powers to manage their experience as you would if you were using any other way to do that. If it is a true WordPress user role, we sort of treat WordPress user roles as if they're like memberships. Mm-hmm. So you are a member of a WordPress user role almost, and you have permissions based on that.
Interesting. Awesome. So that's definitely possible. And then Anthony asked in chat, can you show an example of the content library where we would use that on a site?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can jump on the demo right now. I mean, if I can pull it up really quickly.
Yeah,
I think my problem is I'm going to go to the wrong demo, aren't I? I'm not going to be able to pull up the Lifter demo quick enough.
We could circle back to this and hit this other question. We have two questions, this one and one other one. We could hit the other question first, and I'll pull up a demo in the background.
Sounds good. Yep.
Cool. So the next question was, how do you check conversions?
How do you check metrics and tools? Yeah, nice. So BuddyBoss is currently we're currently exploring how we provide a better system for doing that internally to BuddyBoss. However, there are plenty of tools that allow you to do that already. That doesn't rely on BuddyBoss to have for example, an analytics component, let's say. So there are sort of what I would describe as two categories of tools that allow you to do that. The two categories are like off-site tools and on-site tools. So off-site tools, the most familiar one to you would probably be Google Analytics. You can integrate Google Analytics with your WordPress site and with your BuddyBoss so that you can track the progression through pages for any site visitors or anything like that. In fact, it might have just expired today actually, but if any of you are watching this and you're AppSumo fans, there's currently a lifetime deal for Kissmetrics, which is a very popular tool that was under development for a long time by Neil Patel, who now no longer works there. But it's basically like a Google Analytics replacement that is much more sort of user focused. It's much more like about event-based, event-driven. And basically the idea with any of those tools, they all work pretty much the same way. You install a tracking script, and then it tracks the movements of anybody on any page on your site. And then you set up rules and you say, if a customer comes to this page and then they go to that page, that means that was a sign-up page and a lesson page they converted. So that is I can track a conversion in that instance. So that's without doing another webinar on setting up tracking your Google Analytics, we could probably do another 3-hour webinar just on that alone. That's the kind of one end of the spectrum. I tend to like using an off-site tool for that because the actual act of tracking all the events can be quite resource intensive. And so it's usually a good idea to use a tool that's like kind of offloading that to something else. So there is another category of tools, however, which is the on-site tools. And I do use some tools to allow me to do that for very specific things. For example, I use my page builder or my funnel builder to create certain onboarding experiences for students. Mm-hmm. So imagine you were creating a funnel to like buy an ebook, to upgrade to a course, to upgrade to a membership. Well, what's to stop you from creating the same funnel, but for an onboarding experience for your members? You know, page 1 is they fill out their basic onboarding information. Page 2 is they check the boxes to say, to say what they're interested in. And page 3 is they turn on notifications for whatever. Page 1 is funnel page 1, page 2 is funnel page 2, and page 3 is funnel page 3. And then I have several automations in the background. In my instance, I use Gravity Forms and Automator WP to do that. Gravity Forms registers the user for me because I like to have a nice custom registration process. BuddyBoss has its own, but you don't need to use that if you don't want to. And then I can track exactly what happens at each step. I can track how many users sign up, how many users drop off at page 2 who never complete their profile. Then I can see how many of those people enrolled in groups that they were interested in, or I can even automate their enrollment into groups based on the interests that they checked. So I've got a form. It has 15 checkboxes. Which of these are you interested in? Check. And Automator WP in the background will automatically enroll them into all those groups, so that by the time they get to the next page, bada bing, bada boom, their whole social experience is already populated for them with the stuff that's most useful. And in terms of tracking the conversions, all of those tools have some kind of tracking built in. If you're using a funnel builder, then typically tracking is one of the main things it does. In my instance, my favorite is Funnel Kit. I used to use Cart Flows, and I've recently transferred over to Funnel Kit because I also like to use an on-site CRM. Don't tell anyone because that's a bad idea for most people. But I like to also use an on-site CRM. So I have my Funnel Kit and Funnel Kit automations working as well, and I track my conversions throughout the steps, and I create paths for all of my students to take, to encourage the types of behaviors that I want them to take.
Awesome. And I was able to get a demo pulled up, so let me share my screen.
Nice. I drew out that answer as long as I possibly could to give you as much time as you could.
Yeah, I got it done.
He's a whiz at this stuff, Jason.
Your browser can't access your screen. Try capturing a different screen.
Oh,
I'm in Safari, so that's probably my problem.
Safari, that's your issue. There's a worm in your apple.
I did have a demo site created. Yeah, I wonder. Well, let me open up my Lifter site real quick. It wouldn't be a BuddyBoss demo. I had a BuddyBoss demo, but they last 30 minutes, and it put a cookie in my browser and won't let me make a new one. Go remove it.
I didn't know he did that. I spin up demos all the time. Maybe they've cookied me as like he's allowed to spin as many demos as he likes.
I'm pretty sure that's what it's doing, because now it's just trying to get me to buy BuddyBoss. I'm like, I love BuddyBoss, but I'm just
we're clearly doing good in that area.
But I'll show this demo site here. So this is a site that is my screen sharing? There it goes.
There we go.
So this is not a BuddyBoss demo site specifically, but it would work with the same principles with BuddyBoss, where you'd go to pages, add new page. You could put together your resource library, or there's all kinds of other ways you could do this. But I think what you're talking about, Jason, right, is if you have a resource library page, it could be restricted within BuddyBoss to certain groups. It could be restricted in Lifter LMS to memberships. And then this page could be formatted with links, buttons, images, videos, however you wanted to put together the resource library and have that in a communal space, because it's not directly a feature of Lifter LMS or BuddyBoss, with my understanding, but it encourages that sort of thing. Oh, it's not. It is a feature.
Naughty. I'm going to show you a demo right now. I've found one.
Oh, you got one?
Absolutely. We have documents and media library feature set completely. Yeah. Nice. Let me show you here. Let me share my screen. I pulled it up as you were spreading lies and deceit about us. I was pulling up a demo. Where am I? Stop sharing.
Yeah.
I want to share here. Present. Share screen.
There you go.
Cool. Let me just narrow this down so it's not massive in your stream. Come on. When it's in the stream, it doesn't like to be touched. There we go. Okay, so we're in the BuddyBoss demo right now. Can you see that? Yeah, is that all looking good?
We can see it.
Yeah, cool. So if you were in the BuddyBoss demo and you wanted to, you can head up here and you can go down to integrations, and you can see the integrations that we have specifically. We have Lifter LMS is listed here somewhere. I just saw it. Where did Where did I see it? And you can. Where are we?
It's in there.
Yeah, in there.
Come back.
Oh no.
No. I think you clicked it.
Did I? Anyway, point is you can go up there and you can find the integration. You can go there and the site will show you what it looks like when you're integrated with Lifter. But our documents and media storage is part of BuddyBoss no matter what you do. So let me find it here. So here's an example of documents. So this is currently it's showing you documents belong to a specific user, which is me. So here you have a whole asset library here. You can also have folders inside the library. So you can have, this is the assets folder. You can go in here. And this is currently showing me documents belong to a user. But you can also just have documents that live inside, that are available to everybody or that are specific to certain types of users. Let me see if I can find the main documents page. I could probably guess the URL. Here we go. Documents, magic, look at that. So this should show us the overall media library. Yeah, so here you go. So imagine this is like your WordPress backend library, except that it's front end to your users and it has lots of advantages that your WordPress media library doesn't have. For example, you have all documents, you have documents that belong to you, so that you have ownership over, and you also have documents or that are belong to groups. Now, bear in mind, when we say documents, that's just because this site is calling the media library the documents. But you can call it anything you like. You can call it media library, you can call it resources, you can call it anything you like, and you can change that easily with, in the same way that you rename a page, you can change it to anything that you like. And so if I wanted to look at, let's say, a PDF, it'll open up the PDF here in a preview, and it'll allow you to download it. It'll also prevent you from, you can set it so that it either prevents you from seeing these or it prevents you from downloading them in whatever instance you want. For example, if they only have access to certain things or other things, which includes Lifter LMS user role, like if they're a specific user type in Lifter LMS. We also have the ability to prevent people from uploading documents if they are, or rather only allow them to upload documents if they are of a user role, let's say instructor. So the way I use that on my site is I have instructors are allowed to upload resources to specific groups, and I have a group dedicated to each course. So that means, in effect, I have a specific library of content resources that is attached to my course through a course group. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Awesome. I didn't even know that was a feature of BuddyBoss document library. And we still have more questions coming in. I feel like
triple sharing my thing now. Do I? Hang on. There we go.
Nice. I feel like we're a bit over 2 hour mark now, so we should probably
nice short webinar for us both, for all of us.
Right. But yeah, if you have any other questions, me and Kurt will be live again less than an hour from now.
Oh, good luck.
Answering questions about Lifter LMS. And so I'm going to go plan another Lifter LMS webinar here in the meantime. But thanks, Jason, so much for all that information. We got a lot of great stuff about how to create engagement, retention, and conversion with our BuddyBoss platform and Lifter LMS. A lot of good stuff in the integration here and a ton of interaction from the community. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll be live again later today with me and Kurt. And if you want to see more Lifter LMS BuddyBoss content, leave us a comment, leave us a like, let us know everywhere on social media that you want to see it and that you like this content. And we'd be happy to put some together in the future on any topics more specific. Any final words for the audience, Jason or Kurt?
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to say thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. It's been great to see how much engagement we've got. If any of you do have more comments, you can find me on every social media platform under the sun. TikTok and Snapchat included. Probably don't go there. My handle is Jason_Broderick, or just search my name. You'll find me, Jason BuddyBoss. And if you've got any burning questions or anything that wasn't answered on this, and you want a quick answer, just drop me a notification on your social media of choice, whether that's a tweet or a DM or whatever you want. Or if even better, do one even better, hop over into the BuddyBoss Facebook group, where we've got loads of potential people who are looking at using BuddyBoss for themselves, or people who are using other tools and are considering BuddyBoss. If you're sort of looking to dip your toes in the water and get a bit of community engagement going around education, memberships, communities, hop over to the BuddyBoss Facebook group. And yeah, I'm in there too. If you want to tag me in any questions that you got, I'll do my best to answer you.
Sweet. Kurt, any final words?
Just that this has been a really fun time. It did go a little bit long, but it's packed with information. I liked, the three things to get you in. I like the things to do. The retention's a big deal, reducing the churn. And I appreciate your time, Jason. It was informative.
Sweet. Have me
Thank
back
you so much.
anytime.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Jason, Kurt, and we'll see you in the next video.